Today we have a lovely episode on the audio version alone of IHP, which you can find on Amazon, on Spotify for podcasters, you name it. Okay. The title is like our short Suffering Relationships Aren't Love. Love involves being yourself vulnerably with trust and self-worth. And that's for any one of you who's curious after this one to go on over and tune in. We are not going to be talking about the same exact topic and topics, but really the topics are always spirituality, and human elements, the sciences of what? Self-help, personal development, you being you. And that's because mindset and mindfulness and mindsight and all that we do with the inner growth journey and you being able to tap into infinite higher human conscious potential experiences. And so spiritual self-help is for those of you who do also enjoy a little bit of woo-woo stuff. The pseudoscience, it's because we are not the active researchers in the lab, but I learn from researchers, therapists, and I have all of those lovely attachment and trauma, not only educational hours, certificates, and we will be adding more so that we can incorporate with the lovely membership content for YouTube, a couple of aspects that will keep you on track, because when you are being yourself with the emotional plane, you enjoy doing mindfulness, you enjoy doing emotions, you don't have laundry, okay? And yes, we use the word enjoy. The ones who want to talk about human emotions with the word suffering have consistently and will consistently choose a Zen master and more out there who tell them that the road to enlightenment is full of pain and loss. And that's because some people, they do go to enlightenment, so age group, through pain and loss. The path to connect. Some of us, we don't. We have the path, it's called love. Raise your hand. I learned my path from Jesus and God. That's it. And oh, I forgot, I've been determined with healthy self-worth because I can trust, because I got a mom who taught me that being different does not mean defective, because I got rejected. I got all of the things anybody else does. Then I got a twin, and I got to share my primary caregiver. So my 1-year-old didn't feel defective. Okay, so the only people who actively don't understand how to love themselves first are the same ones who need to hear this. From Patrick Tiahan, Terry Real shares the same thing about this confusion. There's no confusion for a divine feminine. That's why when you meet a divine feminine, you will hear these words, mystic. Right now I'm talking to you. When you hear me say divine feminine, please, for my community, it means mystic. It means that I can have switched to my channeling. It can mean I'm going to go and get tarot. It can mean a lot of things as I continue to integrate that which I am, which is a person who comes to you as a mystic and as a self-help life coach, content creator, consultant, entrepreneur. There are many words. We don't use words as identifiers. In fact, words are coming and going here. They're fleeting. And if you're applying any of those dictionaries, you'll not find yourself here, because I don't do that. It's Maria's world, and then if there's value that you get from it, that's why you have Ask Maria. That's why you keep coming for spiritual self-help, because you find value. That first of all, though, you need to know how to love yourself first, because you're going to want to be yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to want to be here. You're going to, why would I want to be me? And that's something that we'll talk about. You need to love yourself first. As Patrick Tiahan shares, you need specific and guided help to learn to deeply connect with your inner child and become the parent you've needed all along. I'm not my parent, I'm Maria, the adult. It's really nice, by the way, to know true love. It's passionate. Oh yeah, it doesn't die. Not even a little bit. None of that visceral stuff. So whenever a man has brought, no, that's the point. Nope. No. You don't text me back, I might cry about it. I'll get over it. I'm 44. By the way, I don't actively need to do any of that. I learned from the adolescents what men, yeah, I didn't need that other dude who spelled out why they won't text us, and then he didn't spell out that they need a therapist. So men and women and those who use basically sex as something that is an object, you will notice that they will have lifeless bodies, but they're alive. I want to hug a tree right now. The tree has more life in it than a narrow piece of consciousness. Man, woman, they. I've spoken to many, not all 8 billion, but I've spoken to enough college students to recognize how men and women do things, apparently. And I'm like, but you just told me you're miserable. Why are you fucking them? You told me you're miserable. Why are you fucking them? You told me. I don't have the thing, let me lie to you in your face. I'm going to say, you just said you're unhappy. What's the deal? Inconsistency is this therapy. No? Self-help? No? Pinocchio on the island? Yeah. Hangover, the movie? Is this cool? Okay. What was it? You need specific and guided help to learn to deeply connect with your, become the parent. So sorry. I forgot. Let me continue because he has something good to share, which is why now that I'm attachment trauma informed, I won't do anything. Hey, thanks so much. You know, I'm going. I have students. They're my mentors. They care about their self. They're doing self-help for real, not pretend. I don't know. You said Hangover is a cool movie. Yeah. Have fun. Have fun with the, what is that? Love? Sure. Yeah. Yep. The phrase is usually a confusing and shaming letdown. No, I love myself first. It's not letdown. Not for me. I'm not a childhood trauma survivor, okay? So let's be, again, I'm trying to help people know, don't demonize, don't romanticize, no need. You meet a person, you start engaging. Great. Twin flame, soulmate, don't matter who it is. Divine feminine here, again. We already know what we know. In fact, we know everything. We know what we don't know, and we're not like, no. In fact, you know who's the person who knows the moment of truth? Yes, the only person. So I can actively share with you, when you do get out of the 4D plane, there's a way that it gets described by 2 human beings. I'm going to give you the one who gives you the sciences so that you don't have to waste time with 4D community stories. His name is Patrick McNamara, and he's a neuroscientist. And he talks to you about decentralization of the self and the brain and how it works when you are basically expanding and how our ancestors evolved. So in sleep, you have this thing called REM. When REM, and you have nightmare after nightmare or dreams, and this again, not to take away from our astral travel, no, but let's stay focused. Your human being brain is healing itself, and your brain is important. It's an embodied brain. Okay, so when you see people flipping a switch, so they did yoga once and now they're saying yoga brings demons out of you, or people who did Reiki and now they're saying it's bad energy, or people who talk about those of us who are spiritual and new age being bullshit crap and being desperate, and you know, they use a lot of wow and they haven't noticed they flipped the switch. The ones who went from being everything about spirituality to now calling us demons and devils and evil, and they're extreme on the other end. Anyone who goes extreme, you know a Cusco. It's called an adaptive child, maladaptive child pattern behavior. It is not a person who has no way out. They could go to good therapy, EMDR, child parts work, somatics, and get themselves out of what is basically their inner child stuff that's continuing to be projected out there into the world. But again, we can walk a donkey to the well. They might not want to drink the water, and they'll drink the Kool-Aid. So with that being said, as Patrick Tian points out, the phrase, love yourself first, it's confusing and shaming. It's a shaming letdown. And I saw some of those people who do have this unresolved trauma business share a couple and or more videos on people saying, so you say love yourself first, huh? Well, I love myself, but I meet all these bullshit people who did, and basically it's a human being who doesn't know how to love their self. They're criticizing other people, and that's projection of their unresolved trauma because they haven't learned how to notice, if I love myself first and I know that there's differences, it's okay. I don't need to be in my 16-year-old all pissy in my pants because we have humans who have different belief systems, different who have unfinished business. They don't know how to do love from their actual body because they're visceral. So the visceral is not love, as Stephen Porges was going to share in a book he was going to write with his wife about what true love is. It's when we are securely attached in here and then together. means we're not in our reptilian nervous system. So when you see people who are drama kings, queens, and days, and who tell you you need to learn how to keep a man, and or who tell you how it's really hard work for the they could go to Terry real so that they can make it less hard for them to work it out. Poof, just love yourself, he says, and stop dating beneath you. Feeling suicidal. These are all serious topics. For the people who know him, they are taking it seriously, which is why I'm not concerned. I know that there are those who are healing. They know all this. They're going to want healthy self-worth people because that's exactly why they know that love is with people who you talk to. They're going to be ready first. They're not going to come until they're ready to say, hey, so I have my trauma stuff in check with my therapist, and here's all this stuff. And I want to talk. Here, can we date? Can we? So they come with an actual proposal. I'm just letting you all know. Like our lovely Kylie, she's a narcissist who's healing, and her sociopath boyfriend is healing. And when Kylie had her split black and white thinking, or however it was worded, because he said you're the one. So he says you're the one to her in front of a friend, something like that, and she completely splits. And that is actively something that, unless you have your lens, so she did, because she's in therapy. And she has borderline personality and in remission. Okay, so she knew once she cooled off what just happened. Had she not been at the therapist, she would not have known about what happened. She would have had some story for herself, which is I always fuck things up, or maybe none of it, just denial. Okay, so the fact that Kylie had and does still have a good therapist is why she knew once she calmed down what had just happened. Her sociopath boyfriend collected all the stuff she threw out and everything she was doing, and that's because he also has a good therapist. So he is like hoping probably that it'll pass, and when she did reach out, they patched things up, and they're the ones for each other, and they're actively in an authentic, healthy relationship together, because though they're both taking their self seriously and they know their self lens, and as true partners do, till death do you part is not something you have to promise. It's a commitment you make because you have healthy self-worth in the forefront, which only if you're taking care of your inner world are you healthy self-worth. Otherwise you're not. You sharing some meme, weaponizing words, behaving with the maladaptive child behavior or adaptive, that's just a bunch of people who have found ways to make visceral and human suffering relationships. Basically why Stephen Porges didn't write his book, did not. And I'm thinking, publish your book, Stephen Porges, write it with your wife. But I know it takes time and you're doing research, so we'll leave it alone, because some of us will let people know what love is. Love is not you changing your mind, but love is also not demonizing or romanticizing or saying anything to the extent of creating categories for like the twin flame and flames and all that stuff. But let me put it to the side. We'll talk about that in another episode. So as he shares a person who has childhood trauma, basically the sentence, love yourself first, is confusing. Furthermore, it's confusing, but it's also not easy to stop. Dating beneath yourself means being attracted to people who are not healthy self-worth, which you will notice. If you're a healthy self-worth people, men, women, and days, navigate to the next ding, 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 the next bell of what is going to be not a human being who treats them right, but that will treat them with the same, what they expect to be treated like. Then the feeling suicidal, that's really sad, because that's like heartbreak. And any one of you who remembers, we talked about there's an anthropologist who looks into what heartbreak does and how the brain works and how there's a moment of this addiction. So if you don't own your brain, which is why self-help, personal development help people who want to actively pursue that inner growth mindset and use your left and right. I own my brain. I don't get addicted. So whenever I've had my breakups, I have actively, consciously, as a divine feminine, known I'm going to process emotions. It does not something I needed to have a pep talk about. It is actively, intuitively. Divine feminines have pure consciousness connection. It's not a gift. I didn't sever from it thanks to my upbringing with my lovely home, my mother, my twin, and then Jesus and God, because those instructions, if you will, they're not instructions. My faith, it was very easy to feel connected. That's why that never severed. It has only gotten more beautiful. And that's anyone who gets their restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, get to your integrated brain. That's what we get to do here. You'll tap into it. And I saw this man. Oh my gosh, there was really a voice for everything. Oh, we'll get to that one after. I need to finish this one first because otherwise I'm going to lose. I already had, this is a re-record because the other one lasted too long. Okay, so struggling with addiction, that's not funny. Being codependent, also not fun to watch or see. Submitting to others, not fun to see. And being so stuck. Okay, so he says, does the phrase make us feel better? I know it is meant well, but it's one thing that leaves us with an overwhelming how. So how do I love myself first, which is what Terry Real also says. That's why his meme says you need specific and guided help to learn to deeply connect with your inner child. Once you are over the hump, that's when you can add spiritual self-help and personal development because you will know, okay, I get to see me, soothe me, secure me, and that means you're working towards earned secure attachment, which is when Stephen Porges, come on in, now that you know what it means to have a self-lens, so Kylie and the boyfriend get back together because they have people who are supporting them to disengage from the maladaptive child behavior patterns and or adaptive child behavior patterns with patience, time, unconditional love, no shaming, no blaming, no faulting, no revenging, no storytelling, no of the saga or drama of you need to suffer in order to love. No, you are going to love when you know how to love who you are, when you know how to say, I'm a person who has flaws and imperfections. And the exercise is to say, hey, guess what? You know what? I'm a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and I'm a solo polyamory human being who loves to love. And I like to travel, and I am this, and I have that. These are all ways you say, this is who I am. And that's where you don't wait to tell people who you are. You tell them as you get to know them, particularly because here's the book, How to Unconsciously Love with Flaws and Imperfections, which is one of our first, it's going to be one of our first HP series, is about you being able to have integrity. Why do you have integrity? Because I will stand up for myself and say, I am not a liar. I will not be proving intent, but I know that like Pacha, I shake a hand and I make a promise, and it's because I know what I'm talking about. That's what a conscious lover does. We don't take it back because there's nothing to take back. You also don't stop loving people just because there's a breakup, which is why some of us really don't like to use the word ex and all that other good stuff. Relationships are a quote from Sadhguru, but I'm going to change it up. Relationships for a divine feminine, that means you have your own divine masculine, which means you're a whole sense of self. Use your human name. Means you don't have a shame button. Means you're not embarrassed to be any of what the words that you will have. Means you can tell them even if you're afraid that somebody's going to say, I don't like you. You're ugly. Not like a kid, though. It's nice to be a grown emotional woman. It's really fun. The last time I was anywhere near personal, it was as a teenager. And I still remember. Because as they said, it's not personal, Maria. Wait a minute. It's not. You know what? You're right. Your words don't mean anything except for it's your opinions. I'm curious. What else did you say? Okay, so relationships are not advantageous transactions or give and take. They are a certain outpouring. No, not certain. They're an outpouring of life. And they actually touch each other profoundly. That's also why may your decision be based upon what truly matters and works, not upon your likes and dislikes. Okay, so when someone doesn't love you back, okay, the ones of us who know that love involves being ourselves vulnerably with trust and self-worth, we don't change that. Relationships don't grow harder. There's no suffering in relationships. That's not love. There's emotions. And then you get to share with your loved ones about your stories, and you get to have fun. Now, the people who do believe that love is suffering and that life is suffering, they confuse divine feminine's tears and stories for suffering. But the smart people, which are men and women, those are divine feminines because they own emotions too. So the smart people at IHP, it's stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. They know they're emotional beings. They don't say sadness is hard, anger is hard, disgust is hard, fear is hard, surprise is hard. What else? There's another one. Anger, sadness, fear, surprise, happiness. Happiness. No emotion is hard because you are able to be mindful with mindfulness exercises that helps you to become more mindful. With mindset exercises, you get to become even more of the depths of you. Come on over if you want that. That's what self-help and spiritual life is all about. And you don't need to do yoga, but if you do yoga and meditation, that's because it supports you to consistently and continuously work with your self and your ventral vagal nervous system. And so we get to embark here at IHP on the 5D mystics journey for my mystics, and to be in the enlightenment soul age group for those who want to be here, and basically to move into complete restorative embodiment. That's your self-aware, accountable, and regulating potential in infinite higher human conscious potential. So true love, it is when you can, but nakedly, for real or pretend, be in a fetal position, quote unquote, but no, even actually with a human being, and you're safe to be yourself, and you don't feel embarrassed or ashamed or like you did something wrong, even if they say you're not the one. This is not something that you will consider, if you're a person who owns your emotions, the way that I'm telling it to you, as something that was hard. Okay, so I'm trying to help you understand, for divine feminine, being vulnerable is not hard. It's called you're an emotional human being. The only people who have a challenge with vulnerability are the same ones who go to Terry Real with their partners and or Patrick Teahan. And that's where first that, and then you do self-help. Otherwise, there are those who do this. I don't want to do personal development, self-help. I want life now. And they won't be here either, because that's exactly why they have a Zen master who tells them all about how relationships, emotions, you got laundry. So that's a Zen master who knows only the suffering bit, loss and pain, because they don't know how to do emotions with their peers in a way of not feeling that it's hard. Do I get upset when I see what's going on in the world, meaning sad? Yes, it's not a bad thing, and it doesn't make anything harder. So the word hard, to a person who, again, knows emotions and knows how meaningful and meaningless are one and in the same, this is what the marriage to Shiva means, translating in a human way what Sadhguru will share. I'm in my prefrontal cortex. I'm blissful as I speak these words to you. I'm not in the depths of despair inside of me. When Sabine, I haven't read your book yet, Sabine, Existential Physics, she has a preface where she shares, please do note that there are people who have written me saying, I don't know how to live anymore because you've proven everything, and now I find that there's no meaning. So she's trying to warn people, be careful. When you see Sadhguru sharing in his public, there's a woman who's asking him about something. No, actually, he's talking about how experienced yogis, they are married to darkness, and that darkness is all that is left. And he's talking. I know what he's talking about. In the meantime, I was already watching Dark Matter and Dark Energy from our lovely sciences community, and I already know about the darkness anyways. And this woman in the arena, or however it's called, she says, please, Sadhguru, stop. You're scaring us. I felt bad for the lady. Oh my gosh. And he keeps talking. He's a guru. That's the point. You're in the presence of a guru. He's not gonna disengage from sharing the wisdom. And he says, what, are you afraid of darkness? You know, like a kid. Are we afraid of darkness? I understand what he was saying. He was not saying it to be in any way, shape, or form mean. I just said, please stop, in my head. The lady's scared. You know, but he went on for a little bit longer, and then he concluded with what he was trying to share about the darkness, which is the unknown. As I smile here sharing with you, this is not something that destabilizes an actual person who wants to tell me, divine feminine, that they have a relationship with the sphere of consciousness. But I come from a place, it's called God and Jesus, with a conscious choosing. So I'm trying to break things down differently, but they're different because I'm trying to give you the human stuff, integration of the brain, alongside also other stuff. That's very important, humanly speaking. And when people like this Zen master, again, talk about laundry, I'm just thinking, wow, and you're a Zen master. You would think that by now you would have learned something about integration. It's all over the place. I mean, on the internet. Don't you know, Zen master, how to create more resiliency with your emotional plane? But then again, I remember, not all people want to move on over to what love is. Not all people want to be their self. Not all people found it easy to believe that the first 3 years of life mean anything. So not all people actively want to go and get good therapy. They don't think it's cool. They think it's cool to keep on being in Elsa's mantles and journeys and all that. Yeah, so some people, they want to be special. And that's because they have a 1-year-old that doesn't have an owner. When we see narrow pieces of consciousness, they're not impressive. Some people get to become expanded pieces of consciousness because their ego got basically shown, I'm better than you are at doing this thing. Oh, divine feminines are not impressed. But we're happy that a person is motivated to become their self. And that's because at least we have divine masculines becoming actual divine masculines and divine feminines becoming actual divine feminines. And so when expanding consciousness sees more expanding consciousness, we can't help but smile, because that's what love is all about. And then to feel like a woo-woo spiritual pseudoscience lady. But welcome aboard, because that's exactly how it feels when you are on the path of love to enlightenment, and you know everything, and then you know what you don't know. But you always know one thing: life. It does not auto-destruct. The only individuals who think of darkness as something needing to be painful are the same people who have not gotten to the other side yet. It's only once you get to the other side that you'll know how to express what you did go through in a way that empowers people. So the balance of matter, dark matter, dark energy. That's something that, yeah, see, it makes me sad. Not mad, but with that, thank you for stopping by. We're going to have another episode after this one. Remember, please, to be loving and kind to yourself, to those who do not know how to love. They will know other stuff. Pacha knows how to keep his promise to Cusco, because Pacha knows there's a heart. And we know of good attachment and trauma therapists out there. So no one is responsible for healing anyone's trauma. But we here get to heal trauma one person at a time and one relationship at a time, because we are functional adults at IHP, continuing to do more mindfulness, more of what is true spirituality. So you continue to be yourself. This is where the habits and the exercises are actively dealing with the unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds from within you, while going with the flow of your own open heart. So for me, Jesus taught it to me. You will have had whoever taught to you, and you will talk about emotions in a way of, wow, we got more emotions, not less, because that's what it's like to feel more. And we actively talk about the low self-esteem people in different ways. And the 714 charming. Yes, that's me at least. We're not impressed. Now, when we see limited consciousness, we're going to try and be polite. If we can't say something nice, we say nothing. And we take a little good advice and we go out and play with people who know how to do love and be love, all one and in the same. So they don't leave. They say, hey, how you doing? Like Joey. Aw, Joey. Yes, I love Joey. So we don't do it, though, the way Joey does it, okay? Because I'm pretty sure Joey is somebody who would be able to use a Patrick Teahan or what's his face, Terry Real, right? But anyways, on a good note, love and that new moon, huh? Tell you about it. It's a beautiful new moon. We still have our 8-8 portal coming up. It's a 8-5, 3 more days. Who's feeling the love? Love is in the air. Na 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 na. Okay, we'll be back with more. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And if you do want to do one-to-one mentorship or inquire about the masterclass, let me know. And as I do finish up a couple of things or more, I am going to begin to think about how to organize that lovely spiritual retreat. So please, any of you, as you come along, if you know people who do want to do spiritual self-help and they do understand being their self and truly loving, and they, divine feminines, come on over. I know that you definitely will be enjoying I and the community, because 4D, I mean, I got bored with them pretty quickly as they completely took Elsa journey, and they're still there. It's 2024, the year I began my ascension in 2007. I actively thought 4D would awaken to 5D. I did know, I was informed of where we would be headed. I didn't believe it because I don't believe stories. I believe what my eyes can see. I need proof. I got proof. And then I got understanding. I embody knowledge. So I don't make up shit from my asshole, even though it might sound like I do, I don't. So what I'm saying is unconditionally loving people means that you be you and I be me. And when I see 3D, 4D, they won't know any different. Because you know what an ego does? Yes. So I'm a differentiated self. My name's Maria. Nice to meet you. And if you don't know how to be yourself, I will notice it. And don't worry, I know how to draw parameters. It's called, wow, there's a cute 3-year-old. So what was it that you were telling me? Oh, I love it. It's so amazing. Wow. And you know what an ego doesn't notice? Because what does a 3-year-old want, my lovely listeners and viewers? I'm not joking with you right now. I know how to share the floor. I got a twin. What can I say? I enjoy hearing other pieces of consciousness. I don't have to say everything now. I have later. If I'm still breathing, I'll have later. You see what I'm saying? We can all share a voice. I'm not joking. That's why. Is it hard for you to pause and wait your turn? No, not for some of us. Some people, they do have a hard time remembering. So we pause and let them talk. And then sometimes we get confused. And sometimes we interrupt each other. So we like to be Sid, Diego, Manny, with Pacha, Cusco, all of it. And come on over. Again, thank you so much for stopping by.